there. Hello, everybody, to session 33, Buzz Around the World.
Our today's special guest, the beautiful Yasodhara. Hi.
Hello. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you to have you here.
Thank you for being on board.
Yeah, cool.
So Yaso, before we start with our questions, may I ask you for a short introduction of yourself?
Yes. So my name is Yasodhara, as you already said. I'm one of the Access Consciousness facilitators, which I have quite a lot of specialties in my portfolio. So I'm working with Right Voice for You specialty, Talk to the Entities, the body classes, and X-Men.
Oh.
So and I've been doing this for about, I think I took my bars class 8 years ago or something, but it's always yeah, I think it's 8 years ago.
Oh,
Wow. Cool. Okay, first question. What was the reason for you to choose the Access bars and Access Consciousness?
Wow. So the one part was that I was a little bit bored with my life. I had been a little bit I had been a singer and working in theater world and music world for about 15 years. I became a voice specialist, always looking for different things for my voice, but also for other voices, because I had a lot of trouble with my voice and actually also kind of with my body. So I just kept searching for possibilities, and then I became a technical specialist, and there I met somebody who did bars, but for a year I was yeah, whatever that is, let's just sing. Yeah. And so then after also so I started combining my job as a singer with teaching students, vocal students, but I worked in a high school. And also there I started to see things are not working anymore. I don't want to do this the rest of my life, I think, like this. Yeah. And I remember standing in my living room one day, that must have been 9 years ago or something, and be okay, this ain't gonna work, what else? And so I started looking into all of these places, okay, do I want to work with women delivering babies? Do I want to become a logopedist? So all these things where I had to go back to regular universities, and I had kind of experienced that wasn't really going to work any longer.
Yeah.
So I just asked okay, so what's next then? And a few weeks later, that friend of mine that I had studied with in the technical voice university kind of thing came over to my house, and we just went out, and I looked at her and I was like, what is she doing? Because she looked so well, she was so happy, but also her whole system felt different. And so she told me again, well, I'm doing this bars thing, and I was yeah, maybe next time I could try it out. And then she left, and we were yeah, deal. But the minute she actually closed the door, I knew I want to find out what it is. So I just registered for bars class the week after, not knowing what it was, never really had worked with massages or stuff. I was just it's one day of my life, it's a little bit of money. What's the worst thing that can happen is that I kind of spend the money, and maybe I'll learn something, maybe not, but yeah.
No expectations.
Yeah, the first touching bodies, yeah?
Yeah.
Great, oh my God.
Yeah.
Yasodhara, when you think back, is there maybe one bar session that you remember the most where you say, oh my God, this is in my mind? Is there maybe one session?
Well, and it's maybe not a very good example of so one day I think it was one of my first bar sessions, and I had totally decided what the bars was for. And then I had this client who came in for bar session, and she had a lot of pain in her body. So what I decided was that this bars session should definitely help with that.
Oh.
And so that, I think that was the most horrible session for her and for me ever.
Oh yeah.
Because in the end of the session, she literally told me, I only was here to relax. And I think that was one of the greatest gifts that I learned, where a lot of people try to box in, is bars like a therapy? Is it going to heal something? Like, what is it going to do? And that session I learned that's not what the bars is about. The bars is really about allowing a body to do what it needs to do, and not healing anyone, not trying to change anyone, just letting somebody be. Can be such a great space. So I think that was like a bar session I will never forget, and I'm very grateful for that client too.
Cool.
Yeah, that's every bar session is unique.
Yeah.
So there's not a single session which is nearly the same like another one.
Yeah. But
Ever.
If you are an allowance, if you are the space.
For me, it's every time the connection or with the space of my body, you know, every time when I get or George let run my bars, there's this moment, you know, there is nothing else. There's my body, the space, and my being. And oh God, I love it. Thanks for sharing this.
Well, and maybe I would like to share another example that just comes now.
Yeah.
I think like one of the most beautiful results I think was that I was still working in the institution. And so one day I get to talk to a colleague that I don't really know well. And so the person actually tells me, I asked the person, like, how are you doing? And the person is like, it's not really going well.
Yeah.
And so I start to just like blur out, like, well, I didn't think whole bars. And normally I would say it's relaxing, it might just give you some space. But the thing that came out of my mouth was the story of Dr. Dane here, like the founder, of how he wanted actually to kill himself. And after a bar session, that point of view definitely changed. And like he didn't have that in his world anymore. So I tell that to the person, and while I'm telling them, like, why am I telling this? Like, this not my sales pitch usually. And so I'm a little bit like looking how the person is taking it, and the person just looks at me and is like, wow, that's really interesting, because it has been in my world too. And I'm actually like on a point where I can't really hold on to my job right now.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, how awareness works.
Yeah.
So I just told her, like, hey, we got like 20 minutes extra if you want after work. I got some tables in my car, so if you would like, we could just like, I can give you a short session, and then maybe just give some relief or something else. Let's see. And so the interesting part was, like, where I worked, not really many people knew what I was doing, but the next day when I came back into the workplace, like one of the colleagues actually grabbed me by the arm, and she just told me, like, I don't know what you did, but thank you, because now I don't have to take on a double job, because that person was basically only laughing for 2 weeks. For 2 weeks, like, she was only laughing.
Wow.
And that showed me like other extreme of like, wow, like, you know, how much in our lives is not going well because we have our bucket full.
Yeah.
We don't succeed to empty the bucket. And I think that's one of my favorite results with bars, that it's basically helping you empty this bucket of like whatever thoughts are spinning in your mind, whatever emotions you can't get over, whatever feelings that are stuck somewhere, either in your body or your universe. It can actually like allow this to just like go either entirely or partly, which will like give you breathing space, no matter how old you are.
Yeah. And thanks for your great awareness at this moment.
Yeah.
You know, this is amazing. Our awareness is, yeah. Oh, wow. Oh my God. Thanks to share this. This is so beautiful. Yeah. And it's that what bars are
for.
Yeah. Cool. Oh, wow.
And if you're watching this, like, you might actually want to overthink, where did you ever thought you were saying something that was totally inappropriate, and it was maybe exactly what the person needed to hear. And maybe not always, but like a lot of times our mistakes, what I've seen, are not mistakes. They're basically, that's awareness. Like, you know, like, because we make awareness often like this thing, oh, it's like this, or it's like this, or it's, what if it was more our ability to be aware of what plays out in somebody's world, and like being able to address that, even if you think like, what am I saying?
Yeah. Wow.
Thank you.
Great
That's great. That's
space, amazing.
that's
Yeah.
a great message. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, wow.
So Yaso, thinking back the 8 years before you started with Access compared to now to today, what changed in your life?
Wow. I think one of the biggest things that changed is actually the trust and connection to my body.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's been something over the years that the tools and taking the classes have really been inviting me to. Like when I started, yes, I was a singer and I had so much stuff going on with my body that like I was basically just never working together with it. And
Yeah.
so by starting to do the classes,
Yeah.
I started to realize like, wow, if you start to work together with your body and you don't try to control it, you don't try to push it away, you stop judging it as much as possible. Cause like, it's never like fully, I would say, such a different world in all areas of our life starts to open up.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what we figured out a few days or weeks back to everything you want to do or everything you want to create, include your body.
Yeah.
That's a totally different energy. You get totally different creations.
Yeah.
Everything is totally different. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And like the thing is, like, if you look at what we learn about bodies, how to be on a planet, we all just look at each other and then we try to copy that.
Yeah.
And then if we can't, or if it's different, like we make ourselves wrong, but also we get made wrong a lot. Like there is little to no curiosity about anything happening with bodies that is empowering. And that like that's something I had, like I'm so grateful also for my body who pushed me to become a 3-day body class facilitator, because I would have never chosen that.
Yeah.
I want to do this. And I was like, no way, it's too much work. And my body was like, it's not too much work. I want to do this.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the day I literally heard, like I heard it in my head, like I would like to do this. And so I was like, wow, how much do our bodies actually know, want to contribute, are telling us like, I would like to do that. I would like to have that. Can we create
total
that?
Clear.
Yeah.
Total clear.
Total clarity.
Total clear.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We're so quick to respond, right? So we're so quick to respond and like too much work. Oh, I would never. So we're constantly in reaction, not even knowing to what. Like, how much are we in reaction to our body's awareness? And we're not even realizing, because our minds have been so trained to be so strong.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Amazing.
That's nothing what is taught in school, yeah.
It's nothing that has been, and that's been interesting, because like I think for 2 years I was full-time CF and full-time working in the school. And so the last year I was there, I told my students like, hey, I'm gonna start working differently. I do get it if that's not gonna work for you, so please tell me. Like it was the first week of school, I was like, please tell me now, because then we can replace you. I don't really care if I'm gonna like have my same hours or if I'll have to like give them away or not. I just know something is going on here that I want to experiment with. And then all of them looked at me and were like, oh, it's so weird what we're doing, but it always works and we don't have to work that hard any longer. So okay, we'll stay. We'll just sit it out.
What a gift for the students.
Wow. Oh my God. More of that, please. More of that.
And it's been an interesting, like, because I did that for a year, and it's been interesting because like, some like, especially I would say like if you're very accustomed and used to failing, you know how to behave with that.
Yeah.
The judgments, you have like the elephant skin that will make you bear the judgments. You're used to losing, and that's often safer than letting that go without a guarantee that it's not going to be like that. And that was something I learned from quite a bit of my students. Like, wow, the courage they had for something different. And then also acknowledging like, hey, there is no guarantee in being that you're going to make it or not. There is only this other possibility that being stuck in inside this prison of like, I'm a failure, or I can't do this, or I can't do that. And that's been like amazing and terrifying for some of them at the same time. But it also became way less like failure didn't become personal from the point that we got, wow, whatever I saw happening with failure in school was not related to them not being able to do something or being able to do something. It was usually linked to the willingness to be. And so you could see the kids that were kind of relaxed because they had chosen like families that were more relaxed, that were encouraging, that were empowering. Those would usually have way more ease with actually succeeding. And then there were these others who had like a more like interesting or difficult path that were usually this totally different space, which kind of what I started to look at is how can we overcome the limitations in the space of being. And so every time we had this split seconds or longer seconds of like out creating like, this is who I am and this is what I can and this is what I cannot do. So they would start to become this, and suddenly they could all do stuff.
Yeah.
They because I was a singing teacher, so it was like clearly like hearable. And so often in a day, like they would stop singing and be like, what happened? Who was that?
Yeah. Oh,
like,
wow.
well, what happened was that you were being something different, so now a different result came out. Like, but no, that's not possible. Both of us know, you've been teaching me for years. Both of us know I cannot do that, and I didn't train to do it. So like, and so that was where I started to look at, okay, so what is it that we can actually start to invite in the fields of education that will change the paradigms completely? Because what we're doing in education most of the times is getting people to be better from a place where they're not even them.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are we doing? Like, why wouldn't we try to actually like first get them to be them and then see what we need to teach?
Yeah.
So,
A lot of people call it a miracle, but it's as easy as it sounds. It's just a different way of thinking, living, working, being.
Being, right.
And that was the most challenging part, because you can't really, there is no technique to that. So it's all choices.
Yeah.
And that was for me really, really interesting into like being in the question as a teacher, not being the answer, but being in the question, how do I get this person to be more today?
Yeah.
Wow.
And not without the agenda that they had to, but just as an invitation. Because also what I saw, if I needed them to be more, they would all like straight away like go into failure harder. And I would be like, oh, that's my agenda. I want him to succeed. I want him to be better. Yeah. Of course, because that makes me a good teacher. But that has nothing to do with that person and what they're here for on the planet and what they want to create. Who am I to actually decide they have to like succeed?
Yeah.
But who am I also to treat them from like who they're showing they are, and not just like being the possibility that would open up a different door. So there was constantly this like kind of like balancing for me to start to look, where am I functioning now from, and like what is possible, what can we open up? So really starting to be the question.
What's required? What does it need to have more teachers with such an awareness and such a allowance and way of teaching?
Yeah, and they're there. It's like I really like, wow, I'm so grateful to see a lot of teachers actually like looking at different methods, looking at different ways of doing things. And then like the systems are pretty harsh because like they've been the same like since the 40s or maybe even before, and like everybody knows that. And still all the changes are also implemented on changing, like making that foundation a little better. So I'm really like applauding to all the teachers actually standing there every day, looking at different possibilities, because I kind of know what it is. And
what
a gift. Amazing. Thank you for sharing this.
This is so amazing. And in my mind is, or in my awareness is this, okay, what's possible now? You know, there are these seats in the schools. What's possible now, and what can we contribute for these seeds all over the world, you know?
Yeah.
Wow.
Awesome.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you so much. Oh.
So one of the last questions.
Yes.
Is there anything in addition you want to share with our viewers or listeners or whomever? Some tips or some hints?
Or something
Something
yeah.
you want to just tell?
Wow. Well, I think like maybe that like being is highly underrated. And so
That's the message.
that's kind of the message into that's what I love also about facilitating these classes, because yes, it's about the tools and it's about the classes, and but it's mainly about how you get invited to be more in those classes,
Yeah.
which has this very quick invitation to a different results from where you can then start to walk into something different. And I think that's whatever is going on in your life when you're watching this now or later, like, is it actually like, is it happening where you're looking, or is it actually that you could change something, that it's an invitation to change what you be and how you be. And I've seen that like over and over again with bodies, people like looking to change bodies, their bodies, like having difficulties, but then nothing changed. They couldn't fix it in the physical body because that was not what was required. It was basically a change in their energy, in their space, in their consciousness that would create that. And I was actually like, a friend of mine had something going on with her body, and she found this guy in Austria. We didn't really found him yet, but and he does instantaneous remission with like very severely fractured bodies, but like he's not connected to access, but like he does this. It has been investigated by science, by hospitals, and he works with the biggest sport people in the world.
Wow.
And I was so excited because he really like does it like through being, and I could see it in his world, and I was like, wow, so what are all of us like individually capable of from being that no one has answers? And like usually we're on the path, right? Like you'll end up in education, or you'll end up working with like fashion or with physiotherapy, or so you are somewhere on a path. But then what I've seen a lot happening, especially with very smart and capable people, is that they kind of get stuck in their job, and they're like, I don't want to do it anymore, because no one has ever asked them, what is it you know about this, and how about you start to question that, no matter if you're an actor or a singer as well, or you think you're entirely stupid and you know nothing. What is it you actually are capable of, and know that is so different than how other people would do it.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I love that question. Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow. Okay.
So
one
more short one.
Question.
So our approach for these interview sessions was to provide informations from different facilitators, where they are coming from, what they are doing, what have they achieved, and so on. So my question for you is, are there any classes or course with you currently or in the near future without any prereqs, so that for beginners that even without the bars class, or at least the bars class, they can attend?
Not at the moment. Sometimes I'll do calls or stuff like that, but at the moment I don't even have a lot in the schedule, because I'm gonna like go off for a bit. But no, I've been mainly what's scheduled is like talk to the entities, which requires a bars class. And X-Men and body classes or foundations. Oh, actually, Right Voice for You does not require prerequisites. So, but Right Voice for You is definitely without prerequisites. Yes.
Great.
Yeah, great.
Can we share your homepage link then in our Facebook group? Is that okay for you?
Absolutely. Yes.
Oh, great.
And I hope to meet you live soon. That would be fun.
Yeah, that would be fun for sure.
Yes. Yasodhara, thank you so much for your time, for your time, and for this awesome space. It's Oh my God, I love your energy. Thank you so much.
Thank
Wow.
you so much for creating this. And yeah.
And what's possible now?
What's possible now?
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.